I'm recording to the cloud. This is John Wolpert, and we are on our fourth baseline protocol technical steering committee meeting. This is the first one that we've done after a 2-week interval. We'll probably go with 2 weeks by consensus, unless there's dissent going forward. And then maybe in June we'll cut to monthly. So that's the sort of the roadmap there. Hi everybody, we got Jory, we got Eric Breivik from Core Convergence, we got Alia Kraft also from Core Convergence, Nate McCurvey from Splunk, Stefan Schmidt from Unibright. We have Andrew Thurman from Chainlink. Welcome, Andrew. I think this is your first time here. Kyle Thomas from Provide, and Brian Chamberlain from Consensus. And if I missed you, it's okay. So hi everybody.
Hey, John.
Hey. Hey, Kyle, great work. And there's Zach from Aztec. So we're filling up here. If yeah, it was good to see you. Good to hear you. So we're going to go through some real blocking and tackling this week. This is a big week. I'm going to start share my screen, and I don't know if any of you saw this week or last week. There was an article that came out about baseline protocol. There's another big interview happening that's breaking today with Richard Gendel Brown. He and I go head to head, and I think we did pretty well on that. He's a fun guy to talk to. Where the punchline was maybe there are things where baseline and Corda, baseline creates an opportunity for Corda and Mainnet to have a peaceful and harmonious relationship. That would be nice. So there's lots of activity. We're definitely moving up the awareness front in all ways out there in public. More and more companies calling, more and more companies wanting to join, and now some of those companies who are, they're going to take some time because they have to get high-level clearances, but that means they're asking for high-level clearances, and that unto itself is something. We have 4 agenda items: review of contributor maintainer guide and permissions regime, which I've been working really hard on with a lot of different people individually. Daniel Nordkin and others, as we promised, we would have that done. And as of yesterday at noon, it was done. And now we need to present it to you. And if there are no objections or major changes, I'm going to push to public today, right after the SSC meeting probably. And Brian, I want to make sure that I coordinate with you that we don't mess up anything there.
Okay.
One Jory, just as a placeholder, we can take it offline, but I really need high priority is to talk to the Git book people as soon as possible, because there's something wrong with, I think, their integration. I think, and we need to know. So if we can do that, that's a big thing. Review of new communication channels, so that Hudson Jameson, who will be joining at the bottom of the hour, he signaled that he couldn't join before then, was very kind to set up for us. And we have a review of work to date, progress towards near-term objectives that we want to talk about. And that we will continue that conversation on the SSC. Anybody that wants to join the SSC that isn't on the SSC today, they might want to. We'll consider that. There's also an item, consider day change. There was some thinking that maybe we use the TSC and the SSC as sort of lightweight bookends for what could pass as a lightweight sprint structure, either 2-week or monthly, where the TSC is sort of the review stuff ceremony, and the SSC is the set the shiny objects ceremony. So do one on a Friday and one on a Monday or something like that. So that's something we should consider. And then incentives and sponsorships I'd like to go through. Does anyone have any other last minute agenda items? And time. Okay. I've learned to do a nice long pause on any question on online meetings. Okay. So with that, let's talk about the review of contributor maintainer guide and permissions regime. Kyle, did you guys want to talk about the project that you guys were doing, or Brian, did you have review that you wanted to talk about? Why don't you guys start thinking about that so that we make sure that we're reviewing the work today, and we can go into the repos. Because I think that's one of the big things is we want to get the TSC and SSC meeting in particular down to a real kind of a regular format. Right? And clearly, one of the things that should be in that format is work review. So going forward, we can be kind of prepared for that. Teams can come on. We can invite people in. Okay. And I don't know if Karthik has joined. I know that he had a conflict today. So if he joins, we can ask him that as well. So while we're going through these first two things, maybe you and Kyle and Zach or Nate and Stefan, you guys have all been doing real stuff. I think we'd love to hear about what's going on with the SAP Dynamics project. Okay.
Sure.
Right now, anything else? I'll ask again, any other additions or modifications to the agenda? All right, so be it. Let's go straight to maintainer guides and what we came up with. So if we ratify this lightly, loose consensus, excuse me, not COVID, just old man coughing. Welcome. So this will be a significant change to our docs. I think we have 33 changes to the rights. Jory, one of the things that was a problem is that I couldn't just send this out to you guys without giving everybody permissions into Gitbook. And if I gave permissions to Gitbook, that means anybody could, with impunity, hit a merge and publish without going through the maintainer review, which is kind of a good thing and a really bad thing. It's definitely a bad thing for me because power corrupts, and I can sit here and change docs all day long with no review. And I don't want to get corrupted and become drunk with power and start making changes to docs with impunity. So eventually, it would be good if we fix that.
Yeah, I'm just actually typing out another email to Gitbook support to again, I'll CC you on it and make sure.
Right on.
Talk to us.
So, but there was just no other way, because this isn't getting merged to a branch or anything on GitHub. There's no way for anybody else to review what I've been writing. So this is the last time I want to play fast and loose with that. And Daniel Norkin did get in and was able to review. So welcome is still the same, more or less, but now we have an open source community thing where, same stuff, working together. But now we've added, Slack, Discourse, and Telegram, and that you can sign up here, and you've got Slack, Telegram, and Discord. I think I've got the Discord link right, and you can post to the community chat channel and hit all three of those. So I want everybody to be aware of that, and I'd like to open the conversation to comment on that. The clear downside is if you're logged into all three of those things at the same time and you post to one of them, you're going to get 3 pings on whatever devices are logged in. Upside is you're really going to get attention. Like you're going to get my attention because when I've done it a couple of times, I'm like, whoa, my phone blows up. So I really know that something's happened and I know where it's been posted. Upside is, of course, we now have, Hudson made a very strong case that the Ethereum developer community is heavily on Discord and Telegram. Downside of Telegram is it gets, nuisance users a lot, less so with Slack. So this was a great but we don't want to have all these different channels, but we wouldn't need to have to worry about that if we could have all those channels joined by a single channel. Are there thoughts?
I'm a big believer in this sort of structure. I would echo the same thing. Telegram and Discord both have their user groups, and they're pretty strongly coupled there. And so this kind of structure is something you usually end up with, regardless of trying not to, if you want to run, this sort of project. So I would put in a +1 for kind of inclusion of those networks and this type of shared channel. That's just up to the users to manage the multiple pings, and they're used to that anyway, right? So if we exclude Telegram and Discord, we're going to be excluding big user groups. So
understood.
I like the current structure, so I like what's been done, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right on. So noted. Anybody else? Don't make me do that Ferris Bueller joke because it's getting old. Anyone? Bueller. Man, comedy online sucks. You can't tell if you can't read the room.
I'm laughing behind the mic and the mute button.
We need rim shots.
Right. I'm checking chat here to make sure. I like it. Good. Okay, good. All right. So we'll stick with this. I think the risk here is if we have a very active Slack community right now. I think we're now going towards 400 on the Slack. We started like with 150 or so. We're now toward almost trending towards 400. I haven't checked today what it is, but it's pretty lively. And the numbers have not gone down. So, dailies are right around, some number of posts and some number of actives, in the 150-ish range, I think, or maybe 115, 15 and 50 they're around. So yeah, something around there. Pretty healthy. Telegram and Discord have not been publicized, have not been promoted as a thing to be using, so they don't have anything on those channels yet. The question is, do we, what do we, does anybody have any thoughts about, like, shall we put them out there? Maybe we can talk offline with some of the folks who want to do promotions. The SSC will have some people joining who are interested in comms and marketing. Unibright has a terrific guy named Jack who it seems to be stepping up to ring lead a lot of those folks. So Stefan, you should pass some sunshine his way. He's a good guy. Also, the Chainlink team was on a call on this same thing. So, clearly, Unibright and Chainlink communities are very, very strong and really know what they're doing. So it's really good to have those guys leading the charge. And they got on me the other day and they said, we need a team. We need to get organized on this stuff. And they stepped up. So we had a meeting last week and they will proceed from there. I think we're going to make them kind of a subgroup of the SSC so that we don't add yet another committee and create more complexity. Any disagreement there?
Makes perfect sense.
All right. You're okay with Jack taking that effort on?
Totally so, yeah. I mean, he's into it anyway already for some weeks now, and so it's good to have it also like officially represented in, say, the SSC. Makes total sense. I like it.
We kind of read the riot act out, or everybody on that call to say any contributions in this has to be in the interest of the community, all of the community, and that's the trick is balancing enlightened self-interest with, enlightened self-interest. So there's that. So that's the communication channel thing. And then, yes, so Jory, this is for you especially, but actually for everybody. So community leaders, open source community, contributors. So the way I divided this up is Brian Chamberlain was good enough to compile a code of conduct, which you can see on the repo right now. And I'm just linking to it here. Technical contributors, all the basics in blocking and tackling, ECLA, ICLA, submitting a pull request. But basically that we have contributors are people that, anybody can be a contributor. You don't need any special access to get to the repo. You can get involved. You can submit pull requests. You do it here. You can fork the repo and do pull requests and et cetera, et cetera. But then being a member, you can ask to be a member by using this Slack channel. Oops, probably shouldn't have done that. Cancel. So I set up a Slack channel to post your GitHub ID, name, and company. I looked all over the place for ways to do a sign up that were easy, cheap, or easy, free, and reliable, that we wouldn't get into trouble with. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just do a Slack channel. I don't need yet another tool, right? We've got plenty of tools at this point. So just wanted to get the sense from the community that we're doing the right thing there. That we have a channel that you ask to become a member. So for example, Balaji Shetty Pachai from India is really working hard on a couple of things. And we wanted to be able to assign him to those things in issues. And, and he wanted to be able to post to a branch. So had to make him a member and then had to make him a member with right access. As I was writing it, I'm like, that's a lot. That's a whole new level. That's so now we've got contributors. I got to explain membership. I've got to explain. Jory, one of the interesting problems or interesting nits with the membership is that you're a member in the Ethereum Oasis org, which means that you're a member in everything. Even though I think we can put people into a team that would make them only have rights with this repo or with the baseline repos. Is that correct?
Yeah, so membership to, if you wanted to, because the initial problem that was posited is that we need to be able to assign people issues. And so that base level of org membership is read, and giving them read access to all the repositories in the Ethereum Oasis org is fine, because read access is read access. It's, there's nothing that they can do. But
and we flick them into a members team that gives them right access to the baseline repos.
So from there, I think that the next level was contributor, and in the structure, so we have member, contributor, maintainer. And so you have to, somebody from the TSC has to then elevate that person, add that person to the contributor team so that they have right access.
Yeah, so I willfully flipped this around. That's why I wanted to get with you beforehand, where contributors are basically what we call everybody. Anybody can contribute to the repo. If you're a member, you have access. And it means, the org under, can spot you, we can assign you to things, but you can also assign others to items. And the suggestion was that we kind of limit that to 100 members and see, as we approach that number, what we want to do from there before we go straight to, or before we go to, members being one level with read access and another level of membership for write access, because that adds a whole step.
Yeah, it adds a step, but it's also a quasi-important step, because if that person is contributing on behalf of their employer, they must have their employer sign an ECLA. And so one of the things that we have to ensure before anybody, gets their first commitment in, is that they're signing the ICLA if they're contributing for themselves / the ECLA if they're contributing on behalf of their employer. So that's sort of that's one of the reasons why the gate there does have to be a gate, unfortunately.
Oh yes, there's a gate. The question is, do we want 2 gates or 1? And that's the question. We can take some of that offline, but I wanted to get the impressions from everybody on the call. Like I said, the downside of having 2 gates, first of all, really hard to write. Second, it's a whole another page, right? Because it's like, here's what you get with being a member, and now here's how you become more than just a member. It was confusing, and in the writing of it, I was like, no, this is rough. So I kind of switched it around, and again, I wanted to get with you, Jory, on the change. But yeah, you have to submit the ECLA. So what I think I'm proposing is that we have the members, as you're either not a member or you are a member. And if you are a member, you have signed the ECLA and you have done everything you need to be able to write to push to any unprotected branch, to be assigned and assigned issues and epochs, et cetera, et cetera. That also means that the SSC would have effectively member, who would have to have yet another permission level for the SSC, because that's what they need. So easy for me to rewrite, but that this is an important thing for the TSC to consider. Brian, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I guess, I think I've I still need to settle on my thoughts, I guess. So I'm kind of conflicted at this point. I do want to read through what you have again, and just sit with it. I don't want to make it too complicated, and there's certain limitations to the ways we can slice and dice access for all the different systems that we have. So that's about all I can say at this point.
All right. Shall we move to? What if we move to, I don't think there's anything requiring us to push this public today, but we do want to get it up soon, because what we want to do is grow the membership and grow contribution levels. And to do that, people need the where the front door is and how to get in and get doing stuff. So we definitely want to make that clear, and clarity is what I'm going for here, which is
John,
kind of
I would just quickly say I would keep it as simple as possible. That's what I would. That's what I would err on.
As they say, simple as possible, but no simpler, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wanted to air that out with everybody. Why don't we give it 24 hours? Anybody with thoughts? And Jory, you and I can go direct.
Yeah.
And bang it out.
So that's one thing I want to do, is if we have deviated from, or if there's a change from what we were working on last week, we need to run that by the PGB too, and that we have a meeting with them today, so that shouldn't be an obstacle. Yeah,
I know you've been busy with a lot of other things on this stuff, so yeah, we'll do that. So so please, I guess this is a PSA for anybody on the call. We don't want to take any more time on this issue, but please supply us with your thoughts on the matter. If you have an uh-oh moment, to say, you can't do that because this will happen. That's what I'm looking for. Member guidelines, code of conduct, how you get off or how you're removed beyond the general membership, etc. So here you become a maintainer. So you've got basically member, contributor is anybody, maintainer, or a member is anybody with write access. There is no read-only access in this proposal. Can easily change that. But hopefully, if we do change it, we stick with what Hudson said and we keep it simple. Technical Steering Committee, Specification Steering Committee. Regarding that, so the maintainers, Brian wrote a wonderful piece on how to be a maintainer, how they organize, how do you get involved. There's a nice clean front door. How to become a maintainer. You're either invited by maintainers or you request one of the maintainers to become one. I will add here the link to the list. You're provisional for a while. You've got to show these things. You have to show that you've got these qualities, et cetera, et cetera. How to organize, how to stop being one. So we have all that. I'm really pleased to announce that we have that clear now.
Yeah, I'm gonna propose we're gonna add a new maintainer this week, so we have got another candidate.
Right on. Let's not lose that. In fact, I almost feel like we should pause here and vet that. Do you want to do that?
Do the vetting of the candidate?
Yeah, just so that we don't run out of time. I mean, that's a high importance thing.
Sure. Yeah, we've had a merge just recently and several meetings with someone from Etherlime and this guy George Espazov.
LimeChain.
I'm embarrassed. Yeah, LimeChain. Yes, sorry. So apologies, I'm butchering his name, but wanted to propose him as a maintainer. He's shown initiative. He's made some great contributions to the framework and also the structure around how we do deployment of smart contracts and the management of that. And just been very proactive, scheduling meetings and getting us all on the same page with what the changes are for his work and where he sees things going. And so I've been impressed. I think it would be a good contribution, or a good, adding him would be beneficial to the project.
Is there any dissent?
Just last night merged in his pull request. So if you want to look at his code, it's in there.
Thank you, Eric. Anybody else? You feel free to use chat.
I like to put those on the record, so I like to throw them in chat. It's easy to find.
Good to do that. All right, I think we're one away from quorum there.
Yeah, George is good.
Kyle, good. All right, I think that's it. So I think we have a quorum on this. We have better than half of the people on this. So I think, unless I've misread my own rules, or the rules I had helped write, I think that's a go. So let's, Brian, you've got the ball to inform him and get him onboarded.
All right, sounds good.
And you have the appropriate access level to get him in there, I think, right?
Yes, I do.
Right on. That let it be written, let it be done. So say we all, or whatever important sounding words we use there. So moving on to technical steering committee, if that out of the way. Are there any other candidates for this week? I think Zach, we said you're all good. But I think you need to go sync up with the maintainers, Brian and stuff, before we get you onboarded.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean to do that. I'll get on that.
Thank you. I know you're busy, but it's really good to have you on that team.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Right on. Okay, so moving on to TSC. We have most of the TSC rules are in the guide governance. So this is, the sort of the shortest section that I wrote. Probably make that bigger over time. Last thing is the specification steering committee. Here, basically, this is the idea is that I want to make it something very, very organic. So they would be a subcommittee of the TSC, but have co-equal responsibility. So it's not like you're a second-class citizen on the SSC. They have, but organizationally and governance-wise, the PGB, then the TSC, and then the SSC. But there's a very simple litmus test for whether you get on the SSC or not, and that is, are you stepping up to be an accountable person, not a responsible necessarily person, but an accountable person for a project? So, we're going to start really using this heavily. Everybody seems to be, I've been doing some straw polls, and people really like this as a way of bucketing up, the agendas. I'd like to get to the point in the next 2 weeks where we can reliably say that this is an accurate representation of our priorities and our timelines, or ish, so that we can go to the community and say, look, you can work on whatever you want, but here are the shiny objects. I think that's basically our role, right? Is shiny object identifiers, right? And so, what are these shiny objects? Which ones do we think need to go before other things? A good example of that, and I was sketching that out this morning, if you think about it, there's this idea of a gas tank product. That can't happen before a lot of other things happen. We've got this SAP Dynamics thing happening. So what is sort of the ordering of things that need to happen in sequence to have a strong and healthy community that's contributing in the right way to the mainnet and the ecosystem? And so it's sort of a this before that kind of activity we need to be able to be mindful of every time we meet. But the SSC, if you're not, if your name is on one of these boxes, then you're on the SSC. And if your name isn't on one of those boxes, you're not. It's as simple as that. I like that because it's organic and it doesn't require some kind of a committee decision to put people on or off. Any thoughts?
I do have a quick question. Do you imagine that this is something that, so as long as your name is on one of the boxes and you're actively kind of contributing to a project in the SSC, you're on it. But if your name isn't on one of the boxes, then you're not considered to be, you know what I mean? Like how come and go is this committee based on an individual's time and, focus areas and that sort of thing? Or is it because what I wouldn't want to see is a case where somebody comes and contributes to a project for a while, their name's on one of the boxes, and then we don't have sort of a cleanup where they're still considered in the SSC a year later, even if they haven't, say, returned to the project.
Yes. So at the end of every SSC meeting, the proposal is, the format is, pruning, right? So we take a look at the list. If we've got some dead stuff there, we prune it out. And in the pruning, if there are people that are on that and they're only on that and they've ghosted the project or whatever, and it's just kind of naturally dying, then we can remove them from the SSC group. And what's nice, again, if member is right, and you need to be able to have right access. We did a lot of research on this because of the way ZenHub works and other things. You need to be able to have right access to be able to effectively manage a project like this. Then flipping them out of the SSC doesn't make them lose them any actual access rights if they're, say, doing work and practical work in other parts of the organization. So so you would just be removed from the SSC group team. If you were completely ghosting out or if you violated any code of conduct, then you're going to be removed from the membership altogether. Yeah. Okay, so that's the proposal. If anybody wants to read this through before we push it in detailed way, it is kind of a problem because we didn't write this in .md. It's in GitHub or Gitbook, and the minute I hit merge, it's going to all go straight to the web. So, and we do have to fix that. Right? Okay. Any
Yeah.
comments before we move on?
I'm going to take a look later today, and I'll have some feedback.
Thanks, Brian.
Also, I like the blue diagram background. That's really nice.
Yeah, that's my new.
It looks
arm.
like blueprints. It's really slick. I like that one.
Yeah, right.
I'm kind of jealous. I kind of want.
That was my. I'm sitting in front of a Surface Studio, and I rub it with a diaper every day. It's my prized possessions. 30 inches of writing board is fun. Review of work to date and progress. And so let's get into the fun stuff. Yeah, we talked about the comms channels, Hudson. We all are really grateful for the work you did on that. Seriously, I mean, that was yeoman's work. I think you and Jory are going to want to sync up about how to make sure that that Oasis takes on the responsibility for that stuff. But
yeah, I'll talk to Jory today. Yeah, thanks so far for your help, Jory. It's been excellent. Me and Jory had a jam session like a week or two ago where we just spent all day asynchronously working on all the complications with it.
Well, it seems to work. The net of the input was, we're going to try it for a while. It was a good idea to do it. We need to now have the communications team make sure that those are all three vibrant communities. Telegram, Discord, and also the discuss thing was nice. So
yeah, that's not completely done yet. I need to switch that over to Oasis servers or other types of servers. And luckily it's not in a place where anyone's posted anything. So this was just a good way for me to practice setting it up at this point.
Yeah. I know you can do polls in there, which is nice. So that, we can do polls there. All right. So review of work to date, progress towards near-term objectives. So I'll pull out my, so we have this, and let's just bang through these, right? So we've got, tools, it'd be, so baseline administrator, these haven't been put onto the, so this is a good example of on the SSC, we'll go through and say, is this really a thing or not? And what do we want to, who wants to be accountable for that? But I can ask you here as well. I'm not going to take up time about it on the call because we don't have that much time. Tools, by the next meeting, I want to make sure that there's an accountable person on every single box. Okay, so tools are one thing. Hosted baseline POC and demos, the Radish 34 demo on Azure with SAP and Dynamics. I put that one in here. Does anybody know if we're doing that on any other epic that we're missing?
I would rather perhaps discuss if parts of it are also covered by the system of record integration tools and also in the long-term abstraction and generalization of Radish 34, because the SAP baseline dynamics example will focus Radish, as you already put it in the title.
Right, it's general integration APIs, Oracle services, Unibread service, and translators, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same.
So can you guys be accountable to one of the nice things is if there are epics underneath these items and then down into issues and tasks, you can have things rolling up to do two different things, right? So we can make, but whatever it is, let's get it under control and so that we can dashboard it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but I think these are so the hosted baseline POC and then SOR. So it seems to me that the baseline POC demo of this SAP/Dynamics thing, which I think is really exciting. Do you guys feel like you can still pull that off by the end of April?
It'll be pretty close. Yeah.
Well,
if it's not the end of April, it'll be early next month.
Right on.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
Does anybody
it's
want a brief on that? Does anybody not know what we're talking about on this?
I don't have very many details in my mind about that. It sounds interesting, and we also have a Splunk integration with the Radish 34 demo. So I was going to maybe demo that coming soon, maybe the next meeting. But anyway, I could give you guys access to our GitHub repo to try it out if you want. It should help with deployment, development, all that stuff.
So I'm adding a project here with Radish.
Yep. Could you send, or have you posted that integration, or just maybe I missed it?
No, we haven't yet.
Oh, okay.
The only person I've really told about so far is John.
Oh, okay.
Nate,
Yeah, well,
Nate,
sounds
can you
really
jump
interesting.
on? You're in the membership, right? So if you can jump on and get some epics into there, or at least something that we can track, or we can, I understand you've got your own repo on it, but it'd be great, to be able to keep that on the list. That's exciting.
Is it a public fork I can take a look at, or is it private?
It's not a public fork yet.
Oh, okay.
Jory, do you know if we've signed the EAC or the
ECLA?
signed?
ECLA. Yeah.
What was your company name again? I'll look
Splunk.
that up for you. Splunk.
S-P-L-U-N-K.
I believe you have, but I'll confirm shortly.
Okay, thanks.
Great. So for next time, let's would love to get a readout on that. Just for Nate, your information, it struck a bunch of us that the next bona fide that the community needs to see is a real integration of the current Radish structure between two real systems of record running on Azure. Or a cloud, but Azure's kind of real close.
Yeah, and I guess I also forgot to mention the folks over at Envision. They've been playing with it too. They have access, and I think they're running in Azure.
Right on. So that's what that is about, and the intention is to publicize that extensively when it's done.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other bright shiny objects that people want to bring up, Kyle?
I do. Yeah, I guess I was wondering if you could direct your view to the GitHub repo to look at the insights. Just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of this activity on the project itself. Go to the insights tab. Do you all, can you see that?
I can't. Hold
public?
on. Yeah. Let me flip over. I don't know why I can't get out of here from there.
Yeah, I'm definitely working on polishing that shiny object for sure. Hopefully everyone considers it to be shiny.
Yeah, I'll do it this way. I'll just bring it up again. Insights?
Yeah, is that tab available for everybody? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the stats. Yeah, if you look through the merge pull request, just in terms of work done. Yeah, the pulse tab at the top, I think, is pretty much a good review. And this is just in the past week, I think, that's the default period. Is there a way to center that on the? Maybe it's my screen. Oh no, there it is. Okay.
Make it bigger.
Oh yeah. So we've had some updates. We've got a new deployment library for the smart contracts. Is the one that George worked on the last few weeks. That's in, and then some new testing to improve stability and coverage of our contracts. Of course, we did the NFR spec change. And that kind of runs through some other updates for documentation and build file fixes and things like that. So this is a good overview. I don't know if you all frequently look at the insights, but just to get a sense of the activity level of the project, we've got fairly good contributions coming in every couple of days, or fairly large contributions coming in every couple of days, which is a good cadence, I think.
Yeah, it really is pretty nice. Are there, Brian, and if Karthik is in there, Stefan, Kyle, guys who are really, day to day right now on taking a look at this stuff, what do you think, what is your sense of what is important on the engineering side to get to next? what would you say your highest priority thing would be if you were, you know, if there was such a thing as being in charge of an open source community?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
perhaps
I think, go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, thanks. I think, first of all, kudos to those who decided to take the Radish case as a first example and demo use case, because I think it's very feasible to start all these, for example, integration matters that we are doing right now. So the only long-term perspective that perhaps changed a little bit in my view is that it makes total sense to stick a little bit longer with the Radish example use case before generalizing stuff out of it into the protocol layer. That's why I also meant earlier when you showed the different projects, John, that these of course have intersections, and currently I have a very good feeling with for example, with the integration use case that we are showing, that it's totally fine to work on Radish level a little longer, to learn from it, and also to extend that case from very, say, easy or limited business objects to those that happen to be in the real world, like SAP request for proposal object is of course consisting of, like, I don't know, 1,500 attributes and not 3. So there's a lot of work to do until we get our heads totally around it, how this works on Radish level, and then to have the protocol extraction out of this perhaps a little later than planned. But apart from that, I feel very comfortable with how it is set up right now, and I think we're on a very good way.
I will say that that was good points, Stefan. I will say that I talked to Karthik about this on the weekend extensively, and he's quite excited about Radish, about a big improvement to let's call it a generalized circuit.
Yeah, there's been some progress.
Yeah. So basically, so he's thinking that there's this sort of base level of circuitry, right? So there's the base, sort of everything is equal, everything was done equivalently, and then there's, on top of that, you layer, which would generate, sort of a toolkit kind of a thing for library generation. And I thought that was exciting. Brian, I know you've been talking to him about that as well.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge breakthrough to have that. And then I think it'll also help communicate the pattern, because we'll have it in code. So I think that's, in terms of long-term, vision and strategy.
It doesn't deviate terribly from the Radish, from the Radish case either. So to Stefan's point, it's semi-analogous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to talk about the strategy, it's just, I think, from my thoughts on it, just to improve the stability and code quality of what we've got, so that people can download it and use it and experiment, and then from there build on to these, very quickly, these different use cases. And it also makes sense, I think, to double down at least a little bit in the near term on the Radish one, because that's the most fleshed out, but quickly then follow on with a few other use cases and different aspects that are, I have some overlap with the baseline concept, but pull the concepts out of the protocol, the code, pull the concepts out of the code a little bit, such that we can create the abstraction under the best light. It's like you don't necessarily sit down and build a framework or abstraction. You build many different of the same kind of things, and then you see the commonalities and you extract that out. So the more we can get people seeing and running the code, the better, the wider net we cast to get companies who are interested in building prototypes and building out those use cases, the quicker we'll get to an established pattern that we can take to other industries and verticals. So in the focus.
100%. And just to comment on that, in terms of Radish, I just think that there's a lot of potential in first extending the Radish case a little bit towards being closer to the object sizes that are handled and transferred in real world use cases, so to say, because this also gives additional insight on what to extract to the protocol. So it's exactly what you said, and at the same time using the already existing example use case and first make it a little bit bigger and more realistic, and then have even more learnings on what to extract on protocol level.
Yep, yeah, exactly.
Very good. So, and I know that, for example, on the use cases, briefly, we should say the record that we got news. We generated news on this this thing that Balaji's been working on regarding COVID testing, and so you might want to go into the repo and take a look at that. And I'd like to make a call to action here. Anybody that wants to do a high-profile hackathon project over the next 30 days, there's a hackathon about COVID-19 that's being run, and Consensus Health is helping run it, but there's also, like Brian, I saw that Brian Bellendorf, Vitalik, and Joe are going to be judges, and there's other people as well. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to explore that use of baselining. There were 3 kind of potential deficiencies in the, or creepy factors, maybe is a way to put it, in the way that the Google Apple contact tracing scheme is coming up. And it's great work. In fact, I have a friend over at Google that I've been talking to about how we can get involved. And there's some things that maybe baselining can help with. And so anybody, I think this would be a great opportunity.
I'm not sure how to help
Whoops,
with that yet,
Siri.
but I'm always learning.
Siri or Google, or, yeah.
That was just like perfect timing, right?
All right. Hey, Google. So I think this would be a great opportunity for somebody to get involved. Well, that was good. We're running out of time here, so I will take offline the considering of the date change, but I wanted to have it on the record that it's a topic. Does everybody understand that potential or idea? So it would be either SSCs on Friday and we're on and TSCs on Monday, or vice versa. Actually, I kind of like the idea of a TSC Friday, so that TSC can be about reviewing stuff and SSC about kind of lightly planning stuff or highlighting stuff. Does anybody have, I'm not going to actually ask for dissent. Just please ping me. I'll be the ringleader on that. And if you can get perspectives to me in the next 24 hours, then we can make a call on that. And with that in mind, I won't call the next meeting until I get that in. So watch for an update for the next meeting 2 weeks from now, after I get that input. Is that cool for everybody?
Sounds good.
Finally, in the last 2 minutes, incentives and sponsorships. So there should be no sense of bait and switch here. This is, the membership and the activities of the baseline community is nobody has to pay any money to be involved in any of this stuff. However, we have lots of opportunities to sponsor things and to generate incentives, do hackathons, sponsor hackathons, do our own hackathons, do bounties, Gitcoin, all of that sort of thing. And we also want to support the Oasis. I think Oasis has done, it has definitely, I don't even need to ask. I know people have been widely praising Oasis's job. I won't even ask for a straw poll about that. I know people's feelings about it. Oasis has been doing great. And technically the money runs out for the sponsorship of Oasis runs out at the end of May. So any companies who in this time of crisis have the ability to do their membership or their sponsorship. That gets you a potential position on the PGB, and it gives a number of other benefits. But not sponsoring does not mean that you don't get to do what you've already been doing. So I'll leave that with you all. If for those who can and who aren't going to get in trouble for even bringing it up, it would be good to start bringing it up. I think there's some leading companies that will make it, get us re-upped to some minimal level by the end of May, I hope. But the more that we can get in by the end of May, the more, Jory will have some time for us, and the more we will have kind of a war chest for doing things. That's all I have to say about that right now, and we'll bring it up again. Any comments on that before we adjourn?
John, this is Carol Geyer with Oasis. I just wanted to say, if anybody has questions and they want to reach out to me through Jory, whatever, I'm happy to talk offline with people about it.
Thanks, Carol. We really appreciate all your work, Jory. We know that you've been doing for this project more than projects that have 10 times the sponsorship, and we're grateful.
Y'all are fun. This is a fun group.
All right, everyone, thanks for the time. And we'll see you in under 2 weeks. This is a big couple of 2 weeks. So the goal for next time would be that everybody coming back for the TSC and the SSC, that there's been a lot of work done between, that folks can report on. I'm mindful that I'm taking up a lot of the airtime on these calls, and I don't want to. I want to be able to cobble together stuff that people are talking about, and then point to them. So with that, thanks a lot.
Everyone come to the EY Blockchain Summit this week. Baseline people are going to be there, including me, John, Karthik, a few other people.
That starts on tomorrow, Tuesday.
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. If anybody is having a hard time finding it, reach out. We've got, we'll put it on Slack too. Or Slack, Discourse, and Telegram.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks, bye.